We are the sea. There's so much to fear. This is the new normal. The bits are all clear.
You're listening to My Band Rocks, an audio biography, and my name is Keir DuBois. I'm not a real musician, but I play one on the internet. Since 1996, I've been a bassist and lyricist in several Southern California bands and side projects. The Mojo Wire, Honey White, Low Tide, Radblaster, and my own solo releases. In this podcast, I'm going to tell you all about it. And in this episode, I talk about two simultaneous reunion EP projects. Honey White's quickie Corridan and Radblaster's Hecho En Naranjastan. These days, band reunions seem to be cliches wrapped in cash grabs sprinkled with nostalgia and the slight stink of desperation. So many have happened in the past 2 decades that listing them would be exhaustive, but the end result, whether it's a one-off, a tour, or a tour album package, is often the same. Collective wild anticipation suddenly deflates when memory collides with reality. Thankfully, that's not what happened in 2010 when my brother Bryn and I reunited the original 1996 Mojo Wire lineup after almost 12 years, and then Honey White reconvened after over 3 years for a few casual rehearsals. Both projects were decidedly small scale, because we'd all long since accepted how rare it was to indulge in our expensive hobby together. But that didn't mean we couldn't make some progress and track new songs. Bryn had roped Adam and I back into jamming in June 2008, about a year after Honey White went on hiatus. We didn't snag Kevin to play drums until March 2010, after catching up with him while he played San Clemente gigs with his main band, Los Syndicate. After we got over the bizarre novelty of it, reuniting the original Mojo Wire lineup picked up right where we left off in September 1998, tracking Seaside Hamlet Skids songs. We adopted a new band name, Radblaster, but we sounded basically the same and surprisingly tight. Over 4 rehearsal sessions that year, March, June, September, and December, we built up a set of old Mojo songs and several new tunes, each from me, Bryn, and Adam. The old stuff was era-spanning. Long black leather boots.
What's your chum, another man? It damn near drives me to despair. Yeah, I've been watching my baby all night long. She been giving me the blues. She ain't no one-man woman. She don't wear just one pair of shoes. They've been walking all over me with a long black leather boot.
Key West tap water.
Drink some Key West tap water. Let's run in an island song. Don't know what I'm doing here. I know I can't go wrong.
And Blue Lantern Cove. Emerged as the best of the lot. Reviving the classics was cool, but it was even better to write and record new songs, even if they didn't always come from pretty places. Bryn poured all his recession-fueled job-hunting frustrations over some Black Keys-inspired riffage to create the new normal.
It's time for survival. Forget what you knew. This is the new normal. It's all that's waiting for you.
Stagnation Blues.
It don't matter how much you beg and plead. It's time to ditch the hook and rod and get the spirit what I need. Deep underwater, where we drown from drinking. There's even smoke where must be falls when the bones start shrinking.
And Nero's Inferno.
Off with the horns, baby, on with the show. She said, don't fiddle with me, baby. I know you too well.
Hashing those out with the full band was pretty cathartic. Adam tackled some issues of his own on Maintaining Grace, which we amped up into a surly roots rocker during rehearsal.
Every time I look away, your memory until I find my place. I waste
It wasn't all fear and loathing, though. Bryn channeled the mermen to capture an eerie seascape at night for Becalmed.
The ships may come, but I hear a voice echoing over the sea. I close my ears to the siren song. It's calling out to me.
And continued his quest to write a one-chord wonder with the whisper-to-roar instrumental Lluvia de Jalisco. It wasn't all present-day pressures either, especially when Adam tossed off a brilliant surf instrumental so reminiscent of ancient summer holidays at Dana Point Harbor that we dubbed it West Basin Water Wars. While my bandmates reacted to their present, I was still dredging up the past, thanks to my 2008 Low Tide semi-solo Weapon of Young Gods book soundtrack. But I'd had enough distance from it to be objective. I'd finished Tempting Fate,
Sometimes I feel okay, and I give up, but then tonight I feel, tonight I feel, tonight I feel like tempting fate again.
and Winner Take All.
All the broken pieces always snap back into place. As long as I do anything to win. 'Cause I can take a dive. Yeah, I can take a fall. But as soon as I can take control, I'm gonna take it all.
Years before. But the reunion inspired me to write goofy Radblaster themed lyrics for blunt instruments.
15 years evaporated overnight in Radblaster. Radblaster. Break it.
And a bizarre 9-verse fever dream called the Bronze Age.
17 years later, my life is standing still, fending off implosion like a fool on the hill. I know I should forget her. I don't think I will.
Of all those, Tempting Fate was the standout, and the only one to make it past the demo phase, at least until a gorgeous new Adam ballad inspired me to write Stranded.
superficially profound. Memories echo all over town. From a Lisa Pier, the Palisade, the Harbor House, out to Saddleback Lane.
For me, Tempting Fate and Stranded succeeded in all the ways that my amateur novel failed. They both evoke the past with a nuanced view from the present. They both had some of my best ever lyrics, and they helped me get mental closure on numerous angsty hang-ups. I'd forgotten how gratifying it was to create something substantial together, and we'd all grown as musicians and people. The Radblaster rehearsals went so well that Bryn and I figured we could do the same for Honey White in November and December. Brian returned to California for the holidays, fresh from starting a new band called the Neurofarm with his fiancée Rebecca. So we reconvened with Billy at our old rehearsal room, Santa Barbara's Corridan Art Gallery, to shake off the rust. Honey White never had a problem picking up right where we left off, and this session was no different. We careened through scores of material old and new, reviving classics like Unprofessional, Keep Moving,
Small hotel room talking outside. I'll stay in.
and The Lightning Rod. But like the Radblaster sessions, it was also great to write and record new material. Honey White took its own stab at Tempting Fate,
Fate again. Wreaking havoc every now and then. Risking everything I got to snatch and I'm past another point of no return. And leave the rest in room. So why bend the balance?
and that went well enough for it to survive a ruthless deconstruction in the very next song, Historical Friction, a mashup of Honey White classics Mercy Rule, Blacking Out, and a recent Low Tide riff.
You call this archaeology, but it's desecration and exhuming ancient melodrama just because you can. You're way too busy ripping all the fiction from the facts to notice that the fossil record is still intact. But I know what happened, yeah, I know what went down, and nobody rewrites history as long as I'm around.
Like with Radblaster, the band was sounding great, so we decided to experiment a little and took a few stabs at one of Brian's older alternate tuning instrumentals, which became Dilemma by Design when Bryn overdubbed my first reaction to the ups and downs of professional creativity. a theme I'd return to in a few years on my own solo EP, Rotten Miracles.
Except I feel like I've been living in a world without sin. So many ways to lose your cool. So many ways to bend the golden rule. If you just take your time, it's alright, you'll be fine.
Brian's time in DC also allowed him to come into his own as a songwriter, so we were stoked when he led us through several takes of Dreams. That song appears here in a tentative version, but he soon transformed it into something much more dynamic and darkwave on his Neurofarm debut, Blissful Isolation.
In my dream, I'm not afraid to die. Just feeling to change the storyline.
Bryn's contributions came in the form of two songs we'd road tested during the final few Honey White live shows in 2005 and 2006, and a third we'd broken in with Radblaster earlier in 2010. Nightfall had been finished just a tad too late for our How Far Is the Fall album, but that epic rocker opened at least half of the gigs promoting it. Green Hills, another epic, only made it to one show, our final gig to be exact, but its Wall of Sound waltz closed out that appearance with sensitivity and power. Finally, Honey White tracked a version of Bryn's Radblaster tune Be Calmed, giving the EP a mellow closer.
Steady now, 'cause the powder lights from the slightest spark. The only time that I feel no shame is when I'm in the dark. Oh,
Those 2 holiday sessions were short, but we got a lot done. It felt too momentous to go undocumented, so I collected the 7 previously unreleased Honey White songs into a fun, loose freebie EP named Corridan for our rehearsal space. It was a low-key, casual thing. There are bum notes here and there from live takes, and for practicality's sake, Billy is playing his electronic drum kit. But my old impulse of release it right now kicked in, and by April 2011, it was up on Bandcamp. Based on that success, Bryn and I convinced Adam and Kevin to do a few more Radblaster sessions for definitive versions of that band's best new songs. We booked 2 sessions at Wall of Sound in Anaheim during February and April 2011 and got to work. The isolated room at an out-of-the-way location allowed us to focus and crank out take after take. We went through everything, but finally settled on the best 6 songs and released them as the digital-only Hecho En Naranjastan EP in late April 2011. These reunion recordings are curious souvenirs because each reunion proved impermanent. Brian went back to DC and Bill moved to Colorado, so Honey White played no more live shows. Radblaster also semi-dissolved when Kevin reclaimed his gig in Los Syndicate. The Neurofarm took off in their own right at DC shows, but Brian and Rebecca came to California for a Honey White Neurofarm holiday jam with Billy and I in December 2011. Bryn, Adam, and I continued to rehearse together into 2014. And it wasn't Radblaster, but it was still playing. How many ex-bandmates get to do that while creeping toward middle age? The only thing left, at least for Bryn and I, was to prove to ourselves that we could go it alone if we needed to. He did just that soon enough on stage, and later on record. Eventually I would too, but only on record. Which is another story for another episode. The Corridan EP was created by Honey White at the Corridan Gallery in Santa Barbara, California in November and December 2010. It was edited, mastered, and produced by me, Keir DuBois, at My Band Rocks HQ in Ventura, California. The players were Bryn DuBois on vocals and guitar, Brian Wolf on vocals and guitar, me, Keir DuBois, on bass guitar and backing vocals, and Bill Feddersen on electronic drums. Special guest appearance by Marika van Aert on melodica. All songs written by Honey White and copyright 2011 except Dreams by Brian Wolf for the Neurofarm, also copyright 2011. All rights reserved. The Hecho En Naranjastan EP was created by Radblaster at Wall of Sound in Anaheim, California from February to April 2011. It was edited, mastered, and produced by me, Keir DuBois, at My Band Rocks HQ in Ventura, California. The players were Adam Hill on vocals and guitar, Bryn DuBois on vocals and guitar, me, Keir DuBois, on bass guitar and backing vocals, and Kevin Narrison on drums. All songs written by Radblaster and copyright 2011 except Key West Tapwater, Long Black Leather Boots, and Blue Lantern Cove, written by the Mojo Wire from 1997 to 2001. All rights reserved. That's all for this episode of the My Band Rocks Audiobiography. My name is Keir DuBois. All recollections herein are mine, and if I'm wrong, I welcome any corrections or clarifications from my former bandmates, or anyone else who was there. I'll return with another episode soon. Follow my infrequent band posts at MyBandRocksPod on Instagram and Twitter, or visit mybandrocks.com for a little more info. Thanks for listening.
Drop a tone in church you've been.